You've probably been putting real effort into improving your skin for quite some time now. You've invested in different creams, making sure to apply them consistently, hoping they would smooth things out. You've made a conscious effort to stay hydrated, drinking more water because you've been told it's essential for healthy, glowing skin. Maybe you've even gone a step further and tried collagen supplements, trusting the promise that they would help restore firmness and reduce the appearance of fine lines. And yet, despite all of that effort, when you look at your reflection, the wrinkles haven't disappeared. In fact, in some areas, they may even seem deeper or more noticeable than before, which can be frustrating and confusing. What makes this even more discouraging is that no one really takes the time to explain what's actually going on beneath the surface. You're often led to believe that the solution is simply another product, something newer, more advanced, or more expensive. So you keep searching, thinking maybe the next cream or supplement will finally deliver the results you've been hoping for. But the truth is, the issue isn't that you haven't found the right high-end formula yet. It's not about adding more products to your routine or spending more money. The real answer is much simpler, yet surprisingly overlooked. It comes down to a specific food, something natural, accessible, and rarely associated with skin health, that has the potential to support your skin in a much deeper and more effective way. This is the kind of solution that works from within, rather than just masking the problem on the surface. And it's important that you stay with me until the very end, because I'm going to walk you through a simple 3-minute ritual that you can start today. This routine doesn't require expensive supplements, complicated steps, or invasive treatments. Instead, it focuses on activating your skin's natural ability to regenerate and repair itself from the inside out, helping you achieve results that are not only visible, but also long-lasting. Let's begin. And before getting into details, it's important to understand that what you're about to hear is not a single cause, but a combination of biological processes that act simultaneously and progressively within the body. The skin does not change only because of age. What you see in the mirror is the result of several biological processes that accumulate over time and occur at the same time without you noticing. And the most relevant thing is that these processes do not appear suddenly, but rather build up slowly over the years until their effects become visible on the surface. The first is the natural reduction of collagen. As the years go by, your body not only produces less, but the quality of that collagen also decreases. And this is key because collagen is the structural base of the skin. It functions as a kind of internal support that maintains firmness, tension, and density. When it starts to be lacking, the skin loses that support capacity and begins to give way. Additionally, this process is not uniform. Not all fibers degrade at the same rate, which generates a gradual loss of organization in the tissue structure, affecting both firmness and the ability to recover after daily damage. The second process is the decrease of elastin. Elastin is the protein that allows the skin to have elasticity, meaning that it stretches and returns to its original state. When this protein degrades, the skin stops recovering well after each facial expression or movement. That's why marks that used to disappear quickly now stay longer over time. This loss of elasticity also affects the dynamics of the tissues, making the skin respond more slowly to mechanical changes, which contributes to a less flexible and more rigid appearance. Before revealing the third mechanism, write the word food. If you've made it this far in the video, good. The third mechanism is glycation, and this is one of the most important and least known. When there is frequent consumption of sugars or spikes in blood glucose, those sugar molecules bind to essential proteins like collagen and elastin. This process makes them more rigid, less functional, and more fragile. It's as if internally the skin were losing flexibility and gradually hardening, which accelerates the formation of wrinkles without you noticing it in your day-to-day life. And the most critical part of this process is that it is cumulative. It does not reverse easily, and its impact increases with the constant repetition of glycemic spikes over time. If you imagine it in a simple way, it's like a support structure that over the years begins to weaken. First, it loses material, then it loses elasticity, and finally, it hardens from within. The result is not only the appearance of fine lines, but also duller skin, less dense with loss of volume, and a less uniform texture. Added to this is a change in the skin's ability to retain water and in the tissue's microirculation, which contributes to an overall appearance of skin fatigue, even in the absence of evident external damage. And here's the part that most people do not understand. It is not enough to apply products from the outside. Collagen does not work like a cream that sticks to the surface of the skin. It is a protein that your own body has to build from within constantly. This implies that the true quality of the skin depends on internal processes that are not visible but that completely determine the external result. For this process to occur correctly, 3 things are needed: the right nutrients as raw material, biological signals that activate its production, and a balanced metabolic environment that is not destroying it faster than it regenerates. And each of these factors is interconnected. Nutrient availability influences synthesis. Hormonal signals regulate the speed of production, and the metabolic environment determines whether that collagen remains stable or degrades prematurely. If any of these factors fails, collagen production becomes inefficient. And in that case, no matter how many creams, serums, or treatments you use, the change will always be limited, because the problem is not on the surface, but at the origin of the process. That is why any real skin improvement strategy needs to focus first on the internal system that supports the entire skin structure, since that is where the quality, firmness, and long-term appearance are truly defined. Remember to subscribe to the channel to continue learning tips about your skin health. And this is where the key food to support skin regeneration and the natural activation of collagen comes in, the whole egg. And it is important that you understand something from the beginning. It is not simply about having protein. That is an overly superficial explanation and does not reflect what really happens at the biological level. In fact, reducing it only to protein is ignoring the entire network of nutritional and structural coactors that make it possible for the body to transform what you eat into functional tissues and not just basic energy. The whole egg acts simultaneously on several of the mechanisms that directly influence skin aging: collagen synthesis, the structural stability of tissues, and protection against oxidative damage that accelerates the appearance of wrinkles. In addition, it influences broader metabolic processes that determine the speed of cellular regeneration, the quality of cell membranes, and the body's ability to respond to daily stress at a biological level. Let's break it down clearly. When its effect is analyzed in isolation, it seems like a simple food, but when it is observed within the context of human metabolism, it becomes a highly efficient set of nutritional signals that activate multiple repair pathways. Imagine that your skin is like a structure in constant renewal. It is not something static, but a tissue that is being rebuilt every day. In that construction, collagen would be the main material that supports the entire scaffolding of firmness and resistance. But that scaffolding does not maintain itself. It requires constant maintenance, replacement of damaged fibers, and continuous synthesis of new structures, which depends directly on the availability of specific nutrients and a stable internal environment. But to manufacture that collagen, it is not enough to eat just any protein. The body needs very specific components: essential amino acids in proper proportions, B-complex vitamins that participate in cellular energy processes, and nutrients that regulate the constant repair of tissues. And in addition to these elements, the body needs a hormonal and metabolic balance that allows it to prioritize regeneration over other more urgent processes such as energy survival or stress management. This is where the whole egg stands out in a unique way. It is one of the few food sources that provides complete protein with very high bioavailability, which means that its amino acid profile is so balanced that the body can use it very efficiently for repair and tissue building processes, including skin, hair, and nails. This efficiency is not only reflected in the quantity of protein, but in the quality of its utilization. That is how much of that protein is actually converted into functional structures within the body. But the real value goes far beyond that. The egg not only provides building blocks, but also the regulators that allow those blocks to be properly used within the biological system. The egg contains specific amino acids such as glycine and proline, which are fundamental in the structure of collagen. Without sufficient availability of these compounds, collagen production not only decreases, but also becomes slower and less efficient, directly affecting skin firmness. In addition, these amino acids do not act in isolation. They participate in metabolic pathways that influence the elasticity of connective tissue, the ability to repair daily micro damage, and the overall stability of the skin's extracellular matrix. It also provides choline, an essential nutrient that plays a key role in the integrity of cell membranes and in cellular communication. This is important because it is not enough to produce collagen. Skin cells must be healthy, functional, and active in order to produce it properly. Choline also participates in the structure of phospholipids that form cell membranes, which directly influences the ability of cells to maintain their shape, their internal hydration, and their metabolic efficiency. Without good cellular health, the skin loses its ability to regenerate even if nutrients are present. This is a critical point. The problem is not always the lack of nutrients, but the inability of the cellular system to use them efficiently due to a deteriorated or inflamed internal environment. From a nutritional standpoint, various analyses have observed that diets with an adequate presence of essential amino acids and choline are associated with better tissue integrity in older adults, including greater firmness, better elasticity, and improved ability to retain hydration in the skin. This suggests that the structural quality of the skin does not depend solely on external factors, but on the constant availability of key nutrients that support long-term repair processes. And the most interesting part is that all of this is concentrated in an extremely accessible food. It is not about an isolated compound or a complex intervention, but about a natural combination of nutrients that work together within the same dietary system. A single egg provides a very efficient combination of these nutrients in a highly absorbable form, making it one of the most complete options to support the skin's natural regeneration processes through diet. And the more consistent its presence in the diet, the more stable the supply of these essential components becomes, allowing the body to maintain a more efficient and constant rhythm of repair and maintenance of the skin over time. Before continuing, tell me at what time of day you usually consume eggs and how many. I'll be paying attention to your comment. Now, there is a point that you are probably not taking into account, and that completely changes how you understand the condition of your skin. And understanding this is key because it completely redefines the traditional idea of hydration that most people have in mind, which is usually limited only to what is applied externally or to the amount of water that is consumed. Many times that sensation of tight, dull, lifeless, or tired-looking skin is not due to a lack of creams or external hydration. The real problem is usually at a much deeper level. The ability of your cells to retain water and maintain optimal function deteriorates over time. And this deterioration does not occur suddenly, but progressively influenced by multiple factors such as the quality of the diet, the level of oxidative stress, internal inflammation, and the state of the cell membranes that act as a regulatory barrier. Skin cells depend on their membranes to regulate what enters and what leaves, including water. When those membranes weaken or lose quality, the skin stops maintaining a naturally plump appearance, even if you drink enough water or use moisturizing products. This means that the problem is not in the availability of water, but in the structural capacity of the tissue to retain it efficiently, which depends directly on the lipid and protein integrity of cell membranes. In addition, when these cellular structures do not function optimally, the exchange of nutrients and the elimination of metabolic waste are also affected. This creates a less efficient internal environment, where cells work harder but with lower performance, which is reflected externally as loss of radiance, uneven texture, and a fatigued appearance. Added to this is another important factor, the balance between hydration and oxidative damage. When oxidative stress is high, cell membranes tend to deteriorate more quickly, losing part of their retention capacity and elasticity. This further aggravates the sensation of dry or dehydrated skin, even in people who consume enough water daily. This is where certain nutrients from the diet take on a key role. And to truly understand their impact, it is important to stop seeing foods as simple sources of calories and start seeing them as biological materials that the body uses to continuously build, repair, and protect tissues. The whole egg provides structural lipids and high-quality fats that are part of the composition of cell membranes. These fats are not just energy, but functional material that helps maintain the flexibility, stability, and proper permeability of cells. This means that you are not only feeding yourself, but also providing direct components for the internal architecture of every cell in the body, including the skin, which is one of the tissues with the highest constant renewal. When cell membranes are well built, cells retain water better, exchange nutrients more efficiently, and maintain a firmer and more hydrated appearance from within. In addition, this structural integrity allows cellular communication processes to function optimally, which directly influences the skin tissue's ability to regenerate and the speed at which the skin responds to daily damage. This has nothing to do with superficial hydration that evaporates within hours. It is a deep biological hydration sustained by the cellular structure itself. That is, it does not depend on what you apply externally, but on how the cells are built from within, which determines their real capacity to maintain water balance in the long term. And there is another equally important factor that directly influences how the skin ages: oxidative stress. This is one of the most relevant mechanisms in biological aging, although it often goes unnoticed because it does not generate immediate visible symptoms. Every day your skin is exposed to multiple invisible aggressors: solar radiation, even on cloudy days, environmental pollution, psychological stress, and the body's own metabolic processes generate unstable molecules called free radicals. These molecules are not harmful by themselves in small amounts, but when they accumulate excessively, they create an imbalance that directly affects the integrity of tissues. The problem with these free radicals is that they attack fundamental structures of the skin, especially collagen, elastin, and cellular lipids. Over time, this accumulated damage accelerates the appearance of wrinkles, loss of firmness, and a more irregular texture. In addition, this process does not occur uniformly but progressively, which means that it builds up silently over years before becoming visible on the outside. It is a silent process, but constant and precisely. For that reason, it is so important to intervene not only from the outside, but also from within, by modulating the factors that can reduce its daily impact. The whole egg contains natural antioxidant compounds, such as lutein and zeaxanthin, which belong to the carotenoid group. These compounds help neutralize part of that oxidative damage, acting as a kind of biological filter that protects cells from progressive deterioration. In addition, these compounds accumulate in specific tissues and help strengthen the body's natural defenses against continuous exposure to environmental factors. They do not completely eliminate oxidative stress because that would be impossible under normal living conditions, but they do help reduce its impact and slow down the wear of skin structures. And that nuance is important. The goal is not to eliminate aging, but to modulate the processes that accelerate it so that deterioration occurs in a slower, more balanced, and physiologically controlled way. Now, what really matters is how to put all of this into practice in a simple and sustainable way. Because the difference between information and real results is not in how much you know, but in how you apply it in your daily life without it becoming something difficult to maintain. You do not need to make radical changes to your diet or follow complicated plans that you cannot sustain. In fact, in most cases, results do not depend on doing more things, but on doing one key thing consistently. And this is fundamental to understand. Your body doesn't respond as effectively to short bursts of intense effort as it does to steady, repeated habits over time. In fact, simple daily consistency tends to produce far greater results than any extreme approach you follow only occasionally. This is where most people get it wrong. They focus on doing something big once in a while instead of doing something small but consistent every day. The good news is that putting this into practice is much easier than it might sound at first. Over the coming days, the goal is to begin incorporating whole eggs into your breakfast routine on a regular basis, ideally at least 4 times throughout the week. This isn't about creating a complicated meal plan or overthinking your diet. It's about building a simple habit that your body can rely on. In this context, a practical and effective amount is 2 whole eggs per serving. This number isn't random. It's been chosen as a balanced way to provide your body with a steady supply of key nutrients without making your daily routine feel overwhelming or difficult to maintain. It's also important to clear up a very common misconception here. Many people believe that egg whites are the healthiest part and choose to avoid the yolk entirely. But in reality, the true nutritional value of eggs lies in consuming them whole. The yolk is where a large portion of the vitamins, minerals, and beneficial compounds are found. Nutrients that play a direct role in cellular repair, regeneration, and maintaining healthy skin. When you remove the yolk, you're essentially stripping away much of what makes the egg so beneficial in the first place. Beyond that, there's a powerful synergy between the egg white and the yolk when they are consumed together. This natural combination forms a complete protein source, meaning it contains all the essential amino acids your body needs. These amino acids are critical for repairing tissues and supporting the synthesis of important structural components like collagen and elastin, which are directly responsible for maintaining skin firmness, elasticity, and overall resilience. Another advantage is how simple it is to prepare them. You don't need elaborate recipes or special cooking techniques. Eggs can easily fit into almost any routine. You can boil them for convenience, scramble them for a quick meal, prepare them as an omelet, or lightly cook them in a pan using a small amount of fat. The key is not perfection in preparation, but consistency in including them regularly as part of your daily diet.